Hello, School Nutrition Association members. It's Patty Montague, Chief Executive Officer of the Association. And today, I have the distinct honor of introducing Reginald Ross, your new SNA President, better known to us as Reggie. And we thought we'd take a few minutes for you to learn about the man who's going to be leading the association over the next year. Reggie?
Hello, Patty. I'm extremely happy to be here to chat with you this morning.
Well, Reggie, all of our members have a great story about how they got to work in school nutrition. Can you take a few minutes and share with us your story and your professional leadership journey?
Okay. Well, first of all, I am a very proud graduate of the University of Georgia, Go Dogs, where I majored in journalism with a concentration in public relations. I worked in the private sector for many years prior to coming to school nutrition. I worked for a major restaurant group that included Church's Chicken and Popeyes. And while there, I worked in both operations and IT. I also worked for two franchise groups, one of which was for baseball great Hank Aaron, where I was his VP of operations. And I also operated my own restaurant prior to coming to school nutrition. And it was at that time, after sputtering with my own restaurant, that my wife said to me, "You need to get a job." So I applied for and received a job as a cafeteria manager in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District. And I fell in love from day one and found my calling. I worked 1 year as a cafeteria manager, and I was then promoted to area supervisor, where I served Charlotte-Mecklenburg for 7.5 years. The last 6.5 years, I have worked for the state agency. I have been married to my wife, Tina, for over 40 years now. We have one beautiful daughter, Christy, and she's married to Quincy, and we have one grandson, Quentin. And I also raised my nephew in my home, and his name is Corey.
So, sounds like you worked a lot of hours and some challenging jobs in the food and restaurant industry. Where did you get your work ethic from?
I give all credit to my parents. My parents had incredible work ethics. My mother was a school teacher, and my father was the lead man at Bluebird Manufacturing Company in my hometown of Fort Valley, Georgia, where they made school buses. And my father set an incredible example for me, having served during World War II as a second lieutenant in the Army Air Corps, which was actually prior to the Air Force being established. And as an African American in a segregated military, he was very successful because he allowed the standard of always seeking the best to be his primary goal. He always stressed the importance of education, and growing up during the early 60s in my small hometown, my parents taught us to always focus on always doing what is right, and you will succeed.
Well, your parents did a great job. You certainly have brought your best to SNA. How did you get involved with the School Nutrition Association?
Well, having worked in other industries, I knew that associations were very important. So as soon as I started working in school nutrition, I immediately joined the association and started working in the local chapter. Worked there, and then I was actually appointed to some positions at the state level where I worked. And it was at this point that I was asked to run for vice president to eventually become the state president. And I enthusiastically accepted running for the position. But once I had made that decision, I found out that I had colon cancer. I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And I had to make some decisions. But fortunately, I understood going through this process that whatever holds you down will not hold you down for long. I was able to successfully get through the cancer treatments and move forward, and it was a teaching lesson for me of perseverance.
So over the years, I know we've talked about your experience with segregation, how you were discriminated against, just like your parents. Obviously, the last month has been a very difficult one for all Americans. What do you think as a community overall we can do to increase the diversity and inclusion, and especially in the association in the coming year?
First of all, I never thought I'd be reliving some of the pains and agonies that we're seeing now that I experienced when I was growing up. I always tell my daughter that I actually am living history because I rode on the backs of buses. I attended segregated schools and had to live with white and colored water fountains. And today's struggles are just as challenging, but other people's hate and insecurities or disrespect have never defined or hampered me. Sure, I've had some disappointments, but I stand boldly to assist others who are seeking their own successes. As an association, SNA has provided a wonderful environment of diversity and inclusion and opportunity. However, we must continue to be inclusive in our selection on committees, task forces, and other initiatives. I know that if we do that, Patty, as an association, we will continue to be successful.
And I agree. And as you know, in our strategic plan, diversity and inclusion is a major focus, and we will continue that effort this year. But what other plans and initiatives do you want to focus on in the coming year?
I want to be the biggest cheerleader and advocate for SNA members by working with USDA and Congress to provide the flexibilities that we need in order to operate during this pandemic season. I want to continue to work with USDA so that they can provide necessary waivers for us that will assist our programs so that we can run successfully this year. I also want to continue to promote the many wonderful services that SNA provides to our members and honor the exceptional champions that we have in school nutrition. I want to continue to promote professional development and approach the many new opportunities that we have to serve meals. We never thought we'd be where we are today in terms of having to come up with various ways to serve meals in our schools and cafeterias. But we are ready as a profession for this challenge, and I want to be one of the ones to be a cheerleader for the great work that we will be doing in our schools.
Well, this year, it's this association's 75th anniversary, and you have the distinct honor of leading us. And you've had an incredible career and been such a great leader. So can you share with us what is some of the strengths you think exceptional leaders possess?
Well, I've already mentioned perseverance. I think perseverance is the key. We have to learn to move forward regardless of the challenges that we are facing. We still have to move forward. I think communication is key, and making yourself available to our members. I think having compassion and empathy for what we are going through. And I also think that we have to listen and have open ears. And finally, I've heard this word over and over the last few months as we've been in the pandemic, is this word grace. We have to understand that as we go through what we're currently going through right now, that it is new to all of us, but we will be successful. We have to be patient with everyone, and we will all survive and we will be successful.
Well, Reggie, I certainly look forward to working with you this year. It is going to be a challenging year, but I'm glad that you're going to be there to lead us.
Well, thank you, Patty, and I truly look forward to leading SNA and working with you and the SNA staff and all of our members this great year. We will have a fantastic year.
I know we will. Thank you, Reggie.